Olly Silcock. I'm a pro drifter here in the UK. It's my PS13 that we're going to be running through the British Drift Championship and some other events this year. I actually got involved in motorsport probably when I was about 11, 12 years old, building the first motorbike out of the boxer pits, and then I started doing motorbike trials as a schoolboy. Did a bit of autocross and some track days until I discovered drifting, and that was quite a polarising experience because it looked hella cool. My first competition in drifting was 2013 for the British Drift Championship. I just got my licence and I wasn't really sure how it was going to go, but first event, straight out of the gate, qualified second. I think my favourite track in the UK is probably going to be Teesside Autodrome for drifting, because that's kind of been the stable go-to for a lot of us for practice days. And there's been some great events there. Some of my best successes have been at Teesside Autodrome. But we did get the opportunity with Motorsport UK and Time Attack last year to actually go and drift the Brands Hatch as part of a drift demonstration. And that was quite an eye-opener, the sort of speeds that we were able to carry, and massive crowds, huge corners. That was an epic experience at Brands. Never thought I'd be able to drift there. Historically, I've always prepared the car myself with help from friends, including quite a full-on rebuild over the past few years. But as of 2020, I partnered with JD Motorsport Engineering, who were able to kind of push the race program on, help me with setups, track support, and that's really leveled up the game. It's been able to let me focus more on the driving and really improve our results. So the sort of preparation we do between races is quite involved compared to how it used to be with drifting. I mean, we're running basically a full-scale GT car for all intents and purposes, so sequential gearbox, nitrous systems. Every time that we get back, it's a full strip down of all the bodywork, clean everything, nut and bolt check. Also change every single fluid every time just to be safe, and with the Motul products that we're using, it really helps prolong the life of the gearbox, the engine, the differential, and it's that sort of thing which kind of keeps you consistent on the track. And that's a good lesson I've learned at JD Motorsport the past year, is the more reliable everything is running, the more likely you are to get results, because you're always going to be on track every time. My fondest memory or most memorable race was probably Teesside in 2014. It's back when there used to be 3 classes and I was in the intermediate class. I was leading the intermediate championship at the time, but I'd actually qualified to compete in the top level class, which was back then the Super Pro class. And I still managed to knock some people out in that and get through to the Grade 8. Alongside all that, I managed to top the podium in the intermediate class too, which saw us really far ahead of everybody else in the points at that stage in the season. And that was a really satisfying weekend. Free time wise, quite often I'll be practicing on the driving simulator, so that's kind of taken off a lot since COVID came into play, with a lot more people moving online. Aside from drifting, I play airsoft when I can. When we get time over the off season, then we're out in the woodlands playing around with that. Doing a bit of downhill mountain biking to try and keep fit as well. The type of business I'm actually involved in, road transport and moving emergency water around the country. Coronavirus obviously had a massive effect on the motorsport industry in 2020, but we were quite lucky in the fact that whilst many events were getting cancelled, the British Drift Championship was able to run behind closed doors. Work-wise, I wasn't affected too much because the industry I work in, we were key workers. So whilst there were extra measures and steps we had to take to stay safe, we were still able to keep doing our jobs and going to work. We got involved with Motul during 2020 because, having invested so much in the engine and the drivetrain, like the HGT Precision sequential gearbox, a lot of things were actually starting to specify Motul because it's a known, trusted, quality brand. Brake fluid's the RB660, which we use because it's got great aversion to heat, so we're not going to get heat soak into the brake and clutch. Power steering wise, we actually found that Dextron 3 from Motul works a lot better because it's got slightly thicker viscosity, so we're getting better feel from the power steering. Probably the most important oil that we run is the engine oil, because it's a fully forged engine running at very tight tolerances, so we use the X-Power 8100. Having chatted through with Motul technical department, we kind of came to the conclusion that's the oil we should be using because it suits our application. So with drifting, it's not like you're doing lots and lots of laps with a long warm-up time. Quite often you're just sat in the queue for a little while and then it's 30 seconds of absolute flat output and maximum load on the engine. Our aspirations for the rest of 2021 is to start looking at building the next step in our journey. So JD Motorsport and I have had some crazy ideas on what we want to do for our next car build, and we want to build that to a standard that could see us move further abroad, potentially take part in worldwide competitions. Yeah, we want to do something quite special, so watch this space. With drifting and motorsport in general is that we see drifting really developing across the world. It's starting to become a big sport, and we'd really like to be a part of pushing that forward. So, that's been me, Olly Silcock. I hope you've learned a little bit more about what we're doing with our drift program. And if you'd like to follow us and keep tabs on our progress, you can find us on Instagram, YouTube and Facebook. Definitely like to thank Motul for this opportunity though. It's been really great working with Motul for the past year, and I'm looking forward to the 2021 season working together. John, do you want?
Yeah, I know, I was like moving because my arm is back a lot.
Woohoo!
That definitely picked that up.
What about the okay, what is there?
There's going to be some great outtakes of this mic face.
Perfect, that's a wrap.